Hello, I'm Paul.
I'm Adam.
And I am Benjamin.
And welcome
to American films.
To American films?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I just said something to confuse things.
Filmsbusters.
We're going on holiday this week.
Where are you going?
We're going to Indonesia.
Oh, we are. Yes, we're going on a little trip.
Yeah, a socially distant, responsible trip
Yes.
to Asia.
We all sit 2 meters apart on the airplane.
What films are we looking at today, Adam?
The Raid and The Raid 2.
Yes, these were your picks, weren't they?
Yes, they were my picks.
Lovely. Are you excited to talk about them?
I am excited. This could be an interesting discussion, I think, that's going to be had here.
Oh, I hope so.
Our first subtitled film, apparently. Is that right?
It's our first foreign film, isn't it?
The entirety of our podcast in time. I think that is right. No.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we didn't do Parasite, so yeah.
The other one I thought might have been is Roma, but that was just shit.
No, we
didn't
do
cover
Roma.
that.
We just said how shit it was in one of the episodes and then never looked at it again.
We just rip it to pieces as much as we can.
Yeah.
we got to put our mark on it.
Yeah.
Let everyone know.
Like Ben in Paddington 2.
Paddington 2 is a piss poor excuse for entertainment, man. Whichever way you look at it, I'm not even going to get into that again, but people are so sensitive about that little piece of shit.
I haven't seen the first one.
I've never seen Paddington 2, I've only seen the first one.
Have you seen it, Paul?
No, I haven't seen either.
Oh, mate. Like, the first
one's quite
Paddington is a bit sickly,
It's
sweet, but it's kind of fine. And the second one is so overwhelmingly sweet and saccharine and bullshit. It's like a lily white world. I hate it.
Well, if Paddington 3 comes out, we have to review it.
I'll blow that bear's brains out the back of his fucking brown briefcase.
Briefcase?
Well, he carries a brown briefcase, doesn't he?
He'll have to hold that briefcase at the back of his head.
Yeah.
Anyway, before Ben threatens to kill any more animals.
I love animals. I just don't like that piece of shit Ben Whishaw. Also, Ben Whishaw I don't like at all in anything. And I was very upset to see that he's going to be in season 4 of Fargo.
Is he?
Highly annoying. Yes. Chris Rock's the lead, but
I knew that bit. I didn't know who was in it.
I didn't even know that bit.
Yeah, the supporting cast isn't all great. Jesse Buckley's in it, and Jason Schwartzman and Ben Whishaw. I'm not really inspired by that. Timothy Oliphant's in it, so that's kind of cool.
Oh,
But I also feel with Fargo, I feel like they can be quite creative with the characters they get, so it doesn't really matter who they've got. I'll be able to see them in a different way.
Make him a nice creepy guy, and that'd be fine. Because Ben Wishaw's always this like kind of timid kind of.
As long as he's not playing a bear, Ben will be happy.
Yeah, that's true. Make him the killer. Make him like the Billy Bob, and let's see if he can really do it.
Yeah.
Rewatching Fargo at the moment, man. Chef's kiss to that show. That's so fucking good. All of them are.
Mm-hmm. It's very good.
It's hard to pick a favourite because I think they're all fantastic in their own right.
They are.
They all do what they do very well.
This is like sinking in straight from our last podcast because we spoke about Fargo at the end of the last one.
Did we?
Yes.
Anyone who's back to backing us is getting this smooth transition.
Easing you in.
We planned this.
Absolutely.
We're here to talk about The Raid and The Raid 2, but first we've got to do our lovely staple of the episode, which is the quiz. Ben, would you like to take it away?
I would. So, before I take it away, let me familiarise myself with the scores. Yes, so, the concept of this, for those who don't know, those who are joining us for the first time, welcome to any new listeners that may have stumbled upon us. This is the way that things go. At the top of every podcast, I ask these boys 2 questions. If they get the questions right, they get a point for each one they get right. But if they get them wrong, I get the point. So at the moment, and against all odds, in top spot number 1 is Adam with 7 points.
I don't like how you phrase that. Why is it against all odds?
Am I wrong?
No, but it shouldn't be surprising that I'm there.
It is surprising
based on the past 2.5 years, mate. Top spot with 7 points is Adam. Paul in second place with 5 points, and Ben in third place with 4 points. So at the very worst case result for you, Adam, today is that you share top spot with Paul.
Oh, I wouldn't want that. He smells.
And worst case for me and you, Paul, is if Adam peels away with 2 points and gets up there with 9, you know.
Horrendous.
Social distancing is what I'm good at. I'm taking the government advice seriously.
You are. So, are you ready for these 2 sweet questions?
Oh, let's do it.
All right. Number 1. Director Gareth Evans has said that both films' style were influenced by 2 American films. Classic American films. Assault on Precinct 13 for the sense of claustrophobia. And what other action film?
Oh, shit.
Oh, don't know.
I'll give
Are you
you
saying
a clue.
both of them, you said? Or the first one?
You said the first one.
All right, let's say the first one. The first one.
Okay.
So there were two things that influenced it. The sense of claustrophobia in the raid was influenced by Assault on Precinct 13.
Okay.
But what influenced setting it in a tower block?
Die Hard.
Correctamundo!
Oh,
Yes!
fucking hell, man.
Adam is peeling away. 5 back-to-back correct answers. Fucking hell.
Oh, that would never even came to mind.
I didn't want to. It would have been a guess at the time, but then it was an educated guess.
That was an
Ooh.
educated guess.
Boy, that was an educated guess, but my goodness, my, what's that done? He's on 8s. Fucking hell, Paul. Now, this one...
That never even came to mind. I was thinking, what the hell set in a tower block?
You know, I was so close to saying. I was going to give up and just say attack the block.
That came to mind straight away.
Right. Here's the other.
Go on.
You ready for the second question?
Yes, please.
And this one, you kind of need to have done your research on the film, perhaps, to get this question. So I think this might be a point for me. What is the name of the martial art form exhibited in these films?
Oh my god.
It's some type of jiu-jitsu, isn't it?
Pancake. It's not like pancake. Pancake.
I've got no idea. I think it's a form of
It's so good with
jiu-jitsu.
S. Pancake silat or
Mate,
something.
you got it. Say no more. Wow, you've done it.
I knew it. I researched and I was like, that sounds like a pancake. That's what I mean.
It is Penchak Silat.
Penchak? Is that what it is?
Penchak Silat, and it was actually inspired by Islam, apparently.
Okay.
The call to prayer and some of the gestures that are done in Islam, like washing arms and shit, it inspired some of the fighting moves.
Well,
Anyway, that's by the by. That then
I'm glad I did research.
That then means, I know, well done on that. You kept the pressure on Adam. So Adam, you are on 8 points. Paul, you are on 6 points, and
Good
Ben
social
remains on 4. This is
That
a
is good
shocking
social
state of affairs
distancing.
for me.
There's 2
That is-
metres between us.
2 points between
Boris might
us.
start listening to us now.
We are being socially responsible.
When are we
Let's
never,
keep it
though?
that way.
We are socially distancing. This is absolutely fantastic. Very well done.
Fantastic.
You boys did much better than I thought you would, and you've taken me aback by that. I have to actually ask harder questions.
Like Paul did.
Well, somehow Ben won last year. How was it hard questions, Adam?
That's true.
Because you every so often when you're falling behind, you just ask some stupid questions to bring you back in the race.
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, you only know the stupid stuff. Okay, that's fine. Yeah. Should we go to the main event?
Top mate, yeah.
The main event. Here is our featured topic, plus Adam might do a rubbish plot summary.
Are you fucking serious?
Right, guys. So today we're talking about The Raid and The Raid 2. If you have not seen either of these films, we will be spoiling them. This is a spoiler episode, so you might want to go away, go watch them, come back, and listen to a beautiful review by us. But first,
Yeah.
Adam, would you like to explain the plots with an S?
I will. Yes. I'm not going to say, oh, I've got to do this bit again. No, I'm going to say I will this week. So, let's start with the Raid 1. The Raid 1 is it's quite effectively quite a straightforward plot. It's about a group of policemen, and they enter this building or tower block to take down a drug ring and a drug lord, whatever, and they've got to work their way up floor by floor, clearing this building which is full of other people who work for the drug lord, and there's a lot of fighting, a lot of martial arts done, and yeah, that's the first one. Effectively as simple as that. The second one, however, gets a bit more complicated. One of the policemen from the first film, he meets up with one of the police chiefs and gets put undercover, and he tries to penetrate the overall drug dealers, like a bigger scale one now, instead of just taking out one little corner, take out the whole ring, and he goes in deep, and yeah, there's more martial arts and more fighting, just bigger, more scale.
There certainly
Very
is.
astute. Very astute.
Alright, I'm going to go first speaking about them this week, because obviously I picked the films. So these are 2 films I absolutely love. I've watched them many, many a times. I watched them when I was quite younger. and like they just love everything about them. First film we'll talk about it is Raid 1. I gave this film 10 out of 10. I'll be the first to admit the film itself might not be a 10 out of 10 film, but I just think the way I love the film so much brings it up for me in that rating. It's just so simple. Just brilliant action film from start to finish. The fight sequences are absolutely brilliant. Every single time. There's so many moments, even when I've rewatched them so many times, you notice so many other little, action happening in the fight. And it's just so well done, and brilliant. Second one, again, I'm going to give this film 10 out of 10. It just takes the whole franchise to another level. The fights are bigger, the fights are better. It has probably some of the best fights you'll ever see in a film. Like the one at the end of the kitchen, the bit in the prison yard, even the car chase. It's all just so well done, and I really like the way it is a mashup of just everything about it. You've kind of got your classic martial arts in the base, but they've added a bit of Hollywood sprinkle to it and the glitz and glamours, and they bring it, and it doesn't even ruin the film, it brings it up another level. And it's all done by a Welsh guy as well, which makes it even weirder. But yeah, I absolutely love him, and he uses everything at his disposal to make these films great, and he does it well.
That's a passionate defence of the films. Is it not?
It is.
Yes. Alright, and next up I'll say Paul. I think I know your ratings roughly on this. I don't know what Ben thinks, so...
Okay, lovely. I'll go next. Okay, so I give the first Raid film an 8 out of 10. Obviously, it has insane choreography, and the fight sequences in it are extremely clever, which I love, which is probably the thing that I love most about the film. I also love the frantic cinematography. It's probably as crazy as the fight in the way that the camera flips around the room, and it's really good. It's really well done. And also appreciate the fact that it's all set in one location, because that's one thing that I love in films, that it's set in one location. I think, it's good to see how far a story can go in this in a single area. But the reason I do not rate it any higher than 8 are for the following reasons. So the main 4 fighters or characters in the film, they're standout fighters, as they should be. Mad Dog's probably the best and most natural fighter, I'd say, and every scene with him is probably the best scenes, really. But Rama, as a character, he has no personality, none at all. I literally, and I think it kind of takes away from me caring about the situation he's in a little. And as you said, the story don't really have much story. But it's probably all about the fighting at the end of the day, which is fine. That's why I like it. But the best thing this film ever did was it paved the way for John Wick, right? I feel like that is the reason John Wick came about, because they saw what could be done with this kind of fighting style, and John Wick did it better, basically. And another thing, the best Radio a Tower Block movie, it's not this film, it's Dread.
Oh, okay, I'm so glad
better.
You said that.
Okay.
I'm so glad you referenced
there we go.
That. Let's get into that.
Sorry that my first film conversation was so long, but let me go on to the Raid 2 now. Okay, the Raid 2, it upped the ante, didn't it? Or did it? It's got fantastic fighting, but the story's shit and it's so boring. Okay? All the fight sequences, they're great, they're good, but the story's very generic. I didn't really care for it. And because of this story, it kind of breaks up the fighting sequences, and then it's just like, oh, here's another fight sequence. It gets really laborious, and I don't think that inventive, and it's one of those things. It's like too much of a good thing, and then it kind of takes away from the film a little bit, because then you don't really care about those scenes. If it's like one scene in a film that's really good action, it's like, wow, do you remember that scene? But I can't think of like a really good scene that happened in Raid 2 because it's just all too much, right? And once again, I had no connections to the characters because they don't even focus on Rama this time. Rama's not in the focus of the story. It's about some guy and his dad, which I didn't really care about. And the last thing I had was, why is Mad Dog back as a different character? Because I didn't really get why that happened. But I still enjoy it, so I give it a 7 out of 10.
Oh, so you've dropped that, right? Because it was an 8 out of 10 previously.
Yeah, it was an 8 out of 10, yeah.
Okay. So I will take up a quarter of the time Paul did, because
I don't know why that was so long. I had so much to say.
No, but it's fine, because you said everything that I wanted to say, and I think this is going to be a me and you versus Adam episode. Because the first Raid, I agree, I really, 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 really enjoyed it, but it lived better in my memory. Like when I rewatched this the other day, I was like, this ain't as good as I remember, but as the film builds, the choreography just gets better and better, and it's like, this is incredible. And that final like boss fight, the two brothers up against that guy, is spectacular. I love that sort of final fight. And I wasn't too bothered about the fact that the guy didn't have a character, because it was kind of like, well, it's an action film, so I'm just kind of following that. So that's still a solid 8 out of 10, but no more than that really, because it doesn't have much of a plot to speak of. But the second one, I have got to say, I was so disappointed, because as with anything, when you try and evolve, when you have a great simple idea and you try and make it epic and bigger, you lose something of the magic. And this just turned into an all-out action film that was so fucking forgettable. Like, it should have been brilliant, because the choreography, I'm well aware, is still stunning, but you're just oversaturated with it all, man. After about 10 minutes of it, it's like, am I really going to have to watch 2.5 hours of this? And you're right. Mm-hmm. The breakup, the stories in between, like the guy and his dad, I'm like, fuck this. And for the longest time, I think I was going to give this 6 out of 10. But the kitchen fight towards the end brought it up to a 7, just because I thought, okay, there's a life in the old dog yet. So it's a 7 out of 10 for me too. Come on, Adam, fight us.
literally fight us.
Yeah, literally.
So I can quite clearly see both your points. This is what I said at the beginning. I give these films 10 out of 10 just because they sit so well for me and I love them and I've got such fond memories of watching these films. But I will admit, they aren't perfect films. Like I said, it is, I don't know, there's a little bit of me that just reminds you just of being as a pure escapism. You don't care about what else happens in that film. You just watch that and you just completely lose your mind. You don't care. It's these like action films that people love, Fast and Furious and all that crap, because it takes them away and it is just so stupid and over the top. This is my version. I feel like this is my version of that.
I mean, I tell you what, I would definitely say that if you were to compare this to something over the top like Fast and Furious and whatnot, I haven't watched those films, but there's a reason. I would rather you have a passion and a love for these sorts of films that are trying to do their own thing and do it very well, but it gets too old too quickly.
Okay. One thing I forgot to say, because I was setting up to say something, and because I did a massive long talk, I actually forgot to say another point.
Yes. And
that was, do you know, I said that the 4 main people are like the best fighters in it, but everyone else, I hate the dramatisation of their fighting, and like they're so over the top, like their facial expressions, it's not real life. And that's what I don't like. I really do not
it's
like
not
it.
meant to be. You're meant to.
I know, but it takes me away. It's like
stupid.
no one acts like that. Like, and they're all screaming, and it's like, oh, come on.
I know, but I feel like that's, with my admittedly very limited exposure to those sorts of films, I feel that that's cultural
I know
to
it
those
kind of
films.
is. I know,
like,
I know.
You know, even to, you know, all the kung fu movies is like that. All the sounds and the expressions and shit. I think you kind of just have to accept it as part of that movement.
It's not really
like
my
a
bag.
dance.
It's not really
I know,
my bag,
I know.
I would admit though, out of the 2 films, the first one is my favourite, just because it is simple and it's a lot shorter. The Raid 2, I agree, does drag on a bit too long. If it had lost half an hour, maybe 20 minutes.
I know, Adam, you gave this a 10 out of 10 and you're saying it's not perfect, it drags on a little bit. You are funny, boy.
But I'm saying these 10 out of 10 films aren't like, that is a 10 out of 10 piece. The 10, it's like the Italian Job for me. Like, I wouldn't say that's a 10 out of 10 film, because it's not. But I love it so much that it is just a 10
but mate, that's all that matters. Listen, forget
exactly.
it. That's all that matters. If it's a 10 out of 10 for you, that's all that matters, right?
And I will admit, there is some faults with the films, but I still just do love them.
That's all right. That first Raid definitely is the superior film. Like, even if I could admit that the Raid 2... Do you know... Okay, here's the thing. If this hadn't been a Raid sequel, I think I would have appreciated it more, because I'd have been like, oh, look, now that director's gone on to do like a crime epic. Whereas that first one, it's just a very condensed, contained action film. Like you said, Paul, in one setting, very exciting, working your way up through a building. Yeah. But like when it's all over the place in different locations and car chases, it's like, this is just any old action film with admittedly good choreography.
And it's just like, what? Look at all these a massive crowd of people running towards this guy now, and he's got to fight them all. It's like, come on, you've done this about 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, I know. But that's why that kitchen scene at the end stands out so much.
Yes.
It's just one-on-one.
And do you know what I love as well? When he's shimmying towards him with his little feet.
So I saw you put that GIF on Twitter yesterday, and I thought, oh, that looks quite cool. And then when I saw it in the movie, I was like, that is very cool. It's like, let me just shimmy into position for this fight. That was nice.
Even the bit before that, with the two people in that corridor, and you've got the woman with her hammers and the other guy with his baseball bat, it's just like...
See, that's where it's all a little bit silly for me. Like, when she had the hammers on the tube train, right? And all the passengers were running past, I was like, this is a little bit cartoony now. And, like, you may say, oh, well, it's meant to be cartoony. I don't think it is.
It's a little bit Kill Bill.
It's over the top, isn't
yes.
It? It's stupid.
A little bit Kill Bill.
And the guy smashing the baseball with the baseball bat, it's like, come on now.
Yes.
That's just silly. I think it took away from the tone of the film. It's like it's not a film where people hits a baseball into someone's face. It's like it's
I
about
just
fighting.
think it just all adds to it. It's all adds to the drama in it. When you watch kind of like these martial arts, it's all about the drama of it. It's all the drama.
Why is this better than John Wick?
I think because it's six. I don't know. I feel like I've just have more of a love for these films than I do for John Wick. I probably wouldn't say they're necessarily better films. I think John Wick 2 is probably the one that's up there closest for me with these. John Wick 2 is probably my favourite of the John Wicks. I'd say that's up there with it, yeah.
It's like 100% had the inspiration from The Raid, though, because it's like half the characters are in John Wick as well.
Are they?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. Like, do you remember the scene in John Wick 3 where the two guys are fighting him in the glass place and he's throwing him into the cabinets? That is Mad Dog and the guy in the kitchen scene.
Is it Mad Dog? Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
I do find it weird how Mad Dog, he's dead and he comes back playing a different character.
And that's why. Do you know why it is? It's because The Raid 2 was written first.
Yeah, it was.
And that was supposed to be the film, but they didn't have enough budget.
So
it was obviously written for Mad Dog to play.
He wrote a third one, but they haven't done it either. It's meant to be a trilogy. But yeah, I do agree. The second film does drag on a bit, and I think this time watching it, I felt it more than I have before.
Should have dropped
But then
it,
also, I feel like I didn't, because the only way I could describe it is like when I first watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I thought that film dragged a bit. But when I've rewatched it, it didn't feel like it, because you know when the scenes are coming and you know when the action's coming, so you're a bit more excited, you're anticipating what's happening next, so the whole film seems to just speed up a bit.
I would never watch The Raid 2 again.
No.
It's too heavy. It's too much.
But you know what? I would never watch The Raid again. Like, I realise now, having had to rewatch The Raid, that was the worst thing I could have done for my perception of The Raid, because that one single viewing of it was kind of like, oh, it's a really fucking good film. And the second time round, it was like, I kind of know this shit's coming.
Have you seen Dread, Adam?
I haven't seen Dread, no.
Oh, see,
Dread.
If you give the Raid 10 out of 10, you would give Dread 10 out of 10.
Yes.
Actually, well, it's not really the same kind of like martial arts in it, I guess. But
no, it's not. But the concept is the same.
Concept's
it's like,
great. Yeah.
What's her name? Cersei from Game of Thrones is at the top of a tower block. She's the criminal overseeing everything. All the residents are in the tower block, and Dredd is like this judge who's got to come to the tower block and work his way up to the top. But the graphics, the character of Dredd, all of it is
super slow-mo,
stunning
beautiful
stuff. Yeah. Is that a DC, Paul?
No, Dredd's what is Dredd? I can't remember what it is. It's not DC, but it's it's like, I think it's a standalone comic company.
Very good. I mean, that is a really, really good comparison. And Adam, you would probably like it, but I think, Adam, you're still, if you based on what you're saying, you're still going to like The Raid more because you have more nostalgia for it.
Yeah.
Because you grew up watching it more and whatnot. But I think it's incredible. The most incredible thing about these films, and do not get me wrong, the action in all of it is absolutely stunning. But just like, anything, if you watch something that you can't do and you appreciate it, how long can you keep watching it? Because if it's not 100%. For you, you don't want to keep seeing it.
True.
But it's done immaculately well, incredibly well. Like, John Wick is the only thing I can think that's even comparative to it. And, the pace of what happens in the Raid films is probably a bit quicker than John Wick, but I think John Wick stylizes it a little bit better. It makes it a bit more grand and operatic.
The world building, the story with John Wick is so much
totally,
better. Yeah,
totally, yeah. But I do think this is better than the first John Wick.
Yeah, but
the second and the third John Wick are the strong ones for me. The first one's fine, but
I think I give John Wick first one a 9.
And what'd you give the second and third?
I think I give them all 9s.
The second one's my favourite one.
Yeah, the second and third are very. My third's a favourite for me, I think.
But yeah, I just love that he's got all these elements of the film. It's just like you do feel it's so well directed. You feel like you're in the fight for most of the film as well. Like the way that camera was used, the intensity of the camera, like Paul was saying as well.
Yeah.
It's just like you're just so immersed with it. It's just like
No, it's
not
very
even,
true.
It's not even going with the when he moves forward. The camera moves forward as well. It's not even like that. It's completely off. Like it's doing its. You are your own person. It's not like they've locked onto that person every time they move. A bit like with Upgrade when he moves, the camera.
That's
moves
it.
with him.
You got it.
But
you
this
hit the nail on the head. Yeah.
is completely
Well,
opposite. You are almost like you're getting beaten up yourself in a separate fight, and you're looking at that fight happen.
I mean, you know, a fight is working when you're like kind of wincing yourself because you're anticipating like the killer blow being struck, and it. The longer it can keep you wincing and not deliver it, the more it's doing its job, right?
There's
That's all it's trying to do.
There's two bits that always make me wince. In the first film, it's the bit when he grabs the guy's head and he drags him forward and then he smashes it over the edge of the door frame. You know, the door frame that's been kicked out?
He jumps in the air, doesn't he?
Yeah, and he like pulls him back. And then there's this, in the second film, when they were in the prison fight in the mud and he just snaps that guy's leg.
See, like
that is just like
there's iconic scenes for sure. That muddy prison scene was pretty special. That's true. That was a thing of beauty, actually.
The anticipation of all sitting there and they're all just waiting for the moment to happen. It's like bam, and it goes.
But see, that's why it was kind of too long, man. Because that prison thing feels like a totally different film to the rest of it.
Yeah, it does.
Everything that's going on in that prison.
And at the same time, though, because of the fact that Rama's characters are built up, I don't feel worried for him ever.
No, never.
He released a script for the third film the other day on Empire because he kind of accepted it's never going to get made now. And the Ramen character's not even in it, really.
Why would he accept it's not being made?
Because it's been for so long now. I think the last one came out in 2016 and like all funding for it's kind of been pulled, I think.
Doesn't surprise me that Rama's not in it because he obviously didn't care about him in Raid 2 either. His character wasn't even built any further.
No. He says, I'm done at the end anyway, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I'm done.
Do you know what?
I couldn't work out what the fuck was going on in that final scene, by the way.
Of Raid 2?
Yeah.
What happened?
That they turn up and you can't hear the conversation until it gets to the end, and then he says, "No, I'm done." And I don't know what conversation they're having.
Oh yeah, you're not supposed to. It's probably saying you can join our gang because they don't know he's undercover policeman.
I see.
So he's saying join us.
I can barely remember who those people were when they rocked up at the end. You know,
It was another gang.
It was like a smaller
group.
gang. They've now realised what's going on and they've taken advantage of it.
Do you know what? There's a scene right at the end of the first raid where he comes out the apartment building and he walks towards the camera and it's just his head in the shot, and I was like, please don't look at the camera. And luckily he didn't.
Yeah.
I was like, I could drop a point if you look into the camera right now, but he didn't, and I was like, thank God.
I remember that ending. That's the thing one of the things that sticks out the most from the first raid. There's the hallway scene, which is incredible, and the ending where the two brothers are walking their separate ways, going to their separate lives. And then they just wipe out his brother at the beginning of the second film. It's like, after all of that.
Yeah.
Because he's like, we kind of mentioned that his brother was like, you come with me. He's like, no, I've got to stay here. Someone's got to be accountable. And yeah, that's what happened to him.
I feel like that's him getting killed at the beginning of the Raid 2 was Gareth's way of being like, look, the stakes are up now. It's like, nah, they weren't, mate.
No,
you
they
kill him off.
weren't, yeah.
That doesn't up the stakes at all.
Do you know what this is like? It is like Reservoir Dogs to Pulp Fiction. Something intimate, low budget, concentrating on a good concept. Works very well. Pulp Fiction, all bells and whistles, but it ain't got the heart.
No, it's very true.
That's a good comparison.
Yeah, I would say. You know what my iconic scene from the first one actually is? Not iconic scene, the one that really made me fucking wince is that brother battle at the end, and he's got the fluorescent tubing stuck in his neck, and he kills him off by dragging it across his throat like a fucking switch.
I love when it's like he's still fighting and it's like you see it dripping out the tube. It's blood.
Yes.
Like a teapot.
And he breaks his arms before the killer blow as well.
Yeah.
So he can't even defend himself anymore. Like, broken arms, he can't punch.
There's also a bit of the lady with the hammers on the train, and she stabs the back of the hammer into the back of the guy's neck and like pulls it down his spine as well. And you're like, but all these things are just they're so minuscule within the fight. This is what I'm saying. When you watch it again, you sometimes realise that these little things happen because they happen so quickly as well.
Yes.
They're not like bring attention to that. They just happen.
So
I read somewhere they did 18 months training for that fight in the kitchen at the end of the Raid 2.
really, I mean, it's impressive. It is impressive as a standalone scene. It's the kind of thing you could show, like if you wanted to throw on a scene to give people what a flavour of the Raid films is like. You'd throw that on, wouldn't you? And people would be like,
definitely.
"Yeah, I want to fucking see that." But then that's the thing, you don't want to see that the whole time.
No. See, I prefer the small intimate fighting like that in the kitchen. I don't like when like there's so many people, because it's just so overwhelming, and it doesn't. It's like he's not going to die here, is he?
No.
And it's not fun. It's just like too many people.
And you know what's annoying is when, like, kind of like what you were saying, Paul, when you look at all the other fighters, apart from the main fighters, they're all waiting.
Yes,
like, they
always
to
wait.
attack. It's like, what are you waiting for? And also,
They always do this in action film, and it's really annoying. If you all attacked at the same time, you'd win.
I know. Why wait? And also, why, when someone's clearly kicking ass, do you run at him with your hands down and then just wait for him to punch your face? It's like, be prepared, man. Be a cohesive unit. Communicate.
Also, quite a lot of them had guns. Just shoot the guy.
Oh, mate, don't even talk to me about that. I know.
It always happens in films. It's like, you all just attack at the same time.
I know. The truth of the matter is, those fights would never, ever happen in the real world.
You'd be knocked out in about 2 seconds.
Exactly. You would break your own arms off, mate.
Just go
The amount of
windmilling in,
pummeling
mate.
you do. Yeah. Oh, my God. You would be smashed to fucking smithereens.
I did appreciate the toilet scene in the Raid 2, because it felt a bit more realistic, that he's trying to like funnel them down into like 1 or 2 people at a time into the toilet.
That's also great. It's just a great use of space as well. It's just like, okay, we've got this little box. Let's just see what we can do in that.
And it also makes more sense, because everyone's actually trying to get in, and then they all do get in and just pile on top of him, like you would.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's a good point. I'm the thing that I think is probably most incredible and impressive about this is the fact that it's some fucking Welshman who made this.
It's so weird. It's like,
Didn't he live there though? I swear he lived there, and that's why
he lived in
decided.
Jakarta, and he's married to an Indonesian lady, and he taught. I think he taught English in schools or something out there.
Right.
And then he
but I also do like that as well, because it's like, okay, he's Welsh, so he could have quite easily done it like a British way or even an American way, but he did choose to keep it original and keep it in its heritage, like respect, like where this all comes from, and do it that way. And apparently they are making an American remake of the second one.
Second one.
He had to sell the rights. To fund the second film, he had to sell the rights.
Do you know
to it
what
so
he
they could do
said?
that.
I heard him in an interview about this, and he was asked, like, how do you feel about the fact that America is now doing a remake? And he said, to be honest, I'm flattered, and I'm glad, because it's going to get more people to see the original. And it was Mark Commode. It was Mark Commode who was interviewing him. And Mark Commode was like, I get why you're saying that, but there's absolutely no need for this. Fucking watch subtitles, watch the originals. You do not need to see an American version. But it's kind of interesting, because it makes me think, if I was in that situation and I had put my heart and soul into something, and then America comes along, is like, yeah, we're going to remake it, but we're not involving you at all. If I'd go, oh, it's okay because more people will see mine. I don't know about that.
They fucking wouldn't, mate.
How would you feel?
It's just like The Departed. No one's watching Inland Empire.
No,
I mean, Inland Empire.
About
I
to
mean,
say
Infernal Affairs.
Infernal Empire. Infernal Affairs, yeah. Inland Empire. Imagine they went to see that.
You just disagree with me,
saw
didn't you?
Departed.
Did you disagree with me?
I know, it was the Empire bit.
Infernal Affairs.
Yeah, it is sad that people just won't see it regardless. Like, they're fucking great films. Like,
I mean, to be fair, it has got, like, it's not like obscure film. People do seek it out. People
like when
follow
we
the
said we're
race,
going to
so-
do our podcast on it, we've got loads of people already coming back to say, oh, I love these films, all this, all that. Like, when we read out our reviews at the end of it, like, we've got loads this week for this film. So people know of it, but then also people don't know of it.
No, it's
so
true.
weird. It's like,
Do you know that this is a little bit... It reminded me in the first hour or so of Infernal Affairs, actually.
Yeah, definitely.
Infernal Affairs is better on that front, though. But Infernal Affairs is not an action-type film.
No. That's what I mean. It's like the action doesn't really do it for me. It's the story, it makes a film.
Yeah. And the first film just had a very, very basic story, and that basic story worked because you were like, yeah, okay, I get it. You're going from bottom to top. Whereas in this, like, there was an idea of progression in the first film. You know what they're aiming for. Whereas in this, I didn't really know. Like, every time he was calling up his handler on the phone and he was like, pull me out, and they were like, no, we need to find the corrupt cops. I'm like, fuck all this, man, because that's not really a tangible goal. That just means just stay in this film for as long as you can keep fighting. Like, at the end of the film, I believe that actor was as fucking exhausted as his character looked. Honestly, I thought that actor was... When he said, no, I'm done, that was that director. That was the actor talking to the director and saying, hey, I'm out of this.
No more.
But yeah, like, this is why I tried describing it earlier, Paul. Like you said, oh, the story has to make a film for you. Normally, 9 times out of 10, I'm agreeing with you there. But this is those type of films where I agree to look past that just because I just love them so much that I will just put them on. They don't have to be a great story. You are just watching a great action sequence. That's why when I say people love Fast and Furious and those blockbuster action films that don't really have a great storyline, they just are action.
Listen, mate, we all love roller coasters.
Yeah.
I'm not so hot on roller coasters.
Don't you like roller coasters?
In years.
In real
Not
life?
too much.
Real life roller coasters?
No, I don't get
If I never went on a roller coaster again for the rest of my life, I probably wouldn't complain.
Here, do you want to feel inadequate? Gareth Evans, the director, directed that when he was 30 years old.
Wow.
I've still got 5 years to go.
I better start directing something, mate.
Hey?
I better start directing something.
You better. You got, what, how many months you got now?
Considering he actually directed see how many films before this.
He did one called like VHS, didn't he?
Oh yeah, no, way before that. That was his third film, The Raid.
I mean, I'd be interested to see how much is his direction and how much is his like choreographers and stunt coordinators that he uses.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Like if he wasn't working with them, like Paul, you're watching Gangs of London now that you say he's directed some episodes. Presumably he hasn't brought his stunt coordinators with him. How does the action in that compare?
To be honest, there's not much action. It's just there's probably about 5-minute scenes that are action. I've watched 2 episodes and both of them have probably about 5 minutes action scene in it. And I'd say they're probably more creative.
Right.
But I'm not saying that they're as well choreographed as this. They're quite just bog standard, bloody kind of choreographed fight.
See, this is where I think you could agree with like the fight itself is choreographed well, but then this is when you got to look at the camera work he's done with it as well. Like when I said earlier, like the camera work is so intense as well. I think that's where his input has come. Maybe obviously you have people choreographing the fights for him, but yeah.
You know what you were saying, Adam? The truly beautiful thing about this, both of these films, is like you say, the fact that you could have something so unique, what feels so uniquely of a certain style and life in Indonesia, directed by a Welshman, just shows the power of film, because it connects people from like completely what you would assume would be completely different backgrounds, and one can completely reinvent and do something special with another form. So that's actually something very, very exciting. This is quite a good tagline for The Raid. 1 ruthless crime lord, 20 elite cops, 30 floors of hell.
Yeah,
I like that.
30 floors of hell.
Paul, you already done your research on that just in case I asked a tagline question, innit?
Yes, I did, yeah. I did.
I think that was enough from us. Should we listen to the good people who speak on our behalf from Twitter?
That would be wonderful.
The only people that matter in this situation.
They do. What would we be without our listeners?
What God only knows.
Right, so first we got our first one from M at Velba Diorama. She says, I'm such a fan of great fight choreography, and these are up there with some of the best, most brutal and perfect examples of great fight choreography I've ever seen. Beautiful long tracking shots too. These movies know what I love. Yes,
no arguing with that, I should say. Next up from our friend Third Price. These movies blow me away every single time. Crazy that just yesterday I was thinking about revisiting them this week. I don't think I've seen better fight choreography and photography in a movie.
Ooh. This one here from Simon Lewis. Absolutely magnificent action cinema that pays homage to both US and Far Eastern martial art flicks while totally upping the ante and changing the game. Seminal.
Paying homage to both US and Far East, yeah, and done from Wales. So there you go. That's cinema crossing the borders.
Crossing that border. Everyone's loving Adam's take on this so far.
Everyone always agrees with me. I am the man of the people.
Never. The next one's from Rudy Hernandez. He says, top 2 favourite action movies ever. The first one was amazing, showcasing a new fighting style to film with non-stop action. Has its flaws, but still great. The Raid 2 is a perfect movie to me. Everything done to perfection.
Quite literally has flaws, doesn't it, this film? When you go through them.
Yeah, all right, Charles Manson reaction. The next is a Two and a Half Brothers podcast who say, quite simply, the kitchen fight is better than any other movie fight ever. I might not necessarily disagree with that.
I don't agree.
What's a better fight, a single fight in a movie?
Do you know what's a fantastic fight? The bathroom fight in Mission Impossible Fallout. I love that fight so much.
When he reloads his arms.
Yes, when he reloads those arms.
And changes the shirt at the same time.
Yeah, that's a good one. That is a good one. Yeah, changes his shirt with one without a pocket.
This one here is from Cinematic Blind Spots. Absolutely love the Raid movies. The first one is basically Dread with martial arts, like you said, yeah. But that second one, man, just some of the best fights in any movie. Kitchen, bathroom stall, prison yard, etc. I highly recommend these.
Yes. I'm glad that someone else has called out Dreads, not just us. It shows the parallels are there. I wonder what came out. No, I think Raid came out before Dread, but one must have known the other was out, or maybe one was fast tracked because the other was out. You know how these studios go? It's like, oh shit, there's a film very similar to ours coming out. We need to push our ones out.
Oh shit! Out now. Raid was 2011 and Dread was 2012.
Well, there you go. But it's like, you know how long it takes to plan and make a movie. So one didn't see one and then copy the other. It's just the studios suddenly push out what they've got because they know something similar is out there and they want to capitalise on that hype, right?
100%. Next one is from Bobby Brandt. She says, The Raid is one of the best action movies with the best fight choreography, and it's crazy that it was initially just made as a lower budget version of the second one, as they couldn't get funding for that. I still think it's better than The Raid 2.
So do I, Bobby.
Yeah.
And yeah, that is true. Yeah, he made it as a sort of way to get money for the second one.
Yeah.
Oh, The 5 podcasts say The Raid is one of the very best action films ever made, in my opinion. Incredible action, thrillingly violent, but most of all stripped back and single-minded. The plot and action service each other perfectly. The Raid 2 chokes on its own ambition, but still utterly astounds. That's a good way of putting it. Chokes on its own ambition. I like that.
Yeah.
But still outstands, yeah.
Yes.
The Hard Parking Pod. The Raid 2 final fight scene is the greatest in history. I know these movies well as 2 of the best kept secrets out there. I agree with that. Great. Best kept secrets out there.
Oh, yeah.
For you, mate. James Rodriguez, he says, some of the greatest action choreographer ever put to film, but over 2 films, I just couldn't give a shit about the characters. Well, there we go.
There's a little negative one in there.
He said
a little bit. That's probably fairly negative, yeah. Poor old Rama. And finally, the Film Twits podcast say Raid 1 is a balls-to-the-wall action masterclass in editing, choreography and set pieces. Raid 2 ratchets up to 11, but unfortunately the story gets in the way of the proceedings. Still a good time, and the final warehouse battle is simply glorious. Little pun there.
Beautiful. That's some lovely little takes there.
Some very good takes. Overall, Adam, I think you've probably picked the fan favourite film out of all the films that we've had to pick for this podcast.
Maybe Whiplash. I think Whiplash might have brought in some people as well, so yeah.
Oh, why? That's true.
People just love me. That's why I said a man of people.
They don't love the films, they love you, Adam. Yeah, that's all right.
Just love young Adam.
I could pick epic movie or something that's renownedly shit, and they love it.
Do you want to test that theory?
No, I'm not watching that film.
Right, I guess we should place this film then.
All right, everyone, we went to our overall scoring chart and we had to collectively rate Raid 1 and Raid 2. We weren't doing them as individual movies, so we condensed our score. We came up with an average of 8.3, and it took some head scratching because we already have about 6 films on 8.3. But it positions in this place. Infinity War at the top, Uncut Gems below, Invisible Man below that, Once Upon a Time below that, Buster Scruggs below that, and The Raid and The Raid 2 fit in neatly between Buster Scruggs and Avengers Endgame. I'm just glad it was above a fucking Avengers film, man. I wouldn't have been able to forgive myself if it had to position below that.
It did. It
I know, that's
below
terrible, Infinity War. That's terrible, that Infinity War.
I think it's terrible that Infinity War's above Endgame. Endgame's a better film than Infinity War.
Well, that's your fault.
It's not my fault.
Okay.
It's actually Adam's fault.
Which one's the last one?
The
Endgame.
No, Infinity War was better than that.
Okay, well, there you go. That's why. Your fault, mate. Blame yourself.
Anyway, that was all very special. So before we let everyone go for the week to run off to their self-contained isolation lockdown houses, would you like to hear what film I'm going to chuck your way?
Oh, I'm excited.
Yes, I'm excited now.
And just to let everyone know, this will be the last time for now that the Film Busters select, because next time you guys will be picking the film that we watch.
Yes, you will. Just so you know, if you head over to our Twitter account at FilmbustersPod, we've got a little question on there telling everyone to put their favourite films down or their worst films for us to review on the podcast offer next.
And the way we'll do it is we'll shortlist amongst ourselves, and then we'll put that shortlist to a vote for you guys, and you can vote on a poll to select what we will be doing next. But until then, I am telling you what you're doing next. This is a film that couldn't be more different to The Raid. And it's a little throwback. Paul, I know you've seen it. Adam, you've never seen it, I don't believe. We're going to go back in time even further than Casino.
Wow.
Ooh.
So I believe maybe the late 80s, or maybe it was 1990, so not too far back. It's a Harvey Keitel film. And it goes by the name of Smoke.
Oh, okay. I'm meaning to watch that film again.
Oh, now.
Okay. I don't know a lot about this film, so yeah.
Adam, do you know what? Don't look at nothing, and order the film, right? And don't pay no attention to the cover art, because the cover art is some of the most misleading fucking art ever. Just watch the film. Don't read nothing about it, and then we talk about it. I can't wait to talk about it.
It's gonna be fun.
Oh yeah.
Right, let me sign this off. You can get in touch with us at FilmbustersPod on Instagram and Twitter. You can also go to our website, www.filmbusterspod.co.uk. All our podcasts are on there, and some great reviews, which we like to do, which you can go and read, and we'll be very happy if you do, because we just enjoy that.
It's not just us, it's our other lovely writers as well, who are working very, very hard for us.
We've got some lovely in-house critics, and they'll be very happy that you go and read their reviews as well. Lastly, you can get in touch with us on our personal accounts. I'm at Filmbusters Paul.
I'm at Filmbusters Adam.
Whoa. Where were you? I'm at Filmbusters Ben. He threw me off.
Filmbuster.